There may be some debate about which form factor is the best, but unfortunately it's not a straightforward answer, as it can really depend on every person's individual situation. For this video, I'm going to be distinguishing between the two form factors, the large folding and the flip style, as two separate styles, because they really do offer two completely unique user experiences. The first topic I want to cover is the overall size of the phone, and that's because it's going to basically have some sort of effect on all other aspects that will be covered in this video. The most compact of the three is the flip style phone. When folded, it does become thicker than the slab style phones, but because of the small square footprint, the thickness doesn't really affect it negatively. In fact, even with the extra thickness, it's still the easiest one to place in a pocket. In the majority of situations though, the standard slab style phone is still going to be the thinnest option available. And then we have the large folding phone, which is inarguably the largest of the three form factors. When folded, they've actually come pretty close to slab style phones, although they still are thicker. As far as placing into a pocket, this is going to be the one that's going to be the toughest to place in your pocket for the most part. Obviously, the smaller the better. The next topic I want to cover is the multitasking. And this one's obviously going to be best on the large folding form factor, because you're going to have the large screen that when you have apps side by side is basically going to have both apps in a pretty much full screen experience. The different brands do handle this a little bit differently, but overall it's going to provide a great experience. There's no comparison when doing side by side, because you just can't do side by side when it comes to the standard style or the flip style folding phone. What you can do is the top and bottom split screen, which is still useful, but it is gonna give you two small squares rather than anything that resembles the standard aspect ratio. And then when you bring up the keyboard in either of these form factors, the keyboard is gonna take about a third of the screen real estate, and that's gonna require the active app to slide and take over most of the screen. So all you really get from the inactive app is going to be a little sliver, which is not very useful at all. This next category is just the immersiveness of the phone itself. They all have their pros and cons, but basically the worst one in this category is going to be the flip style, just because it has the ultra tall aspect ratio, which kind of leaves wasted space when it comes to watching videos. Even on the 2:1 aspect ratio that is used on a lot of newer movies, is still a lot of wasted space because it's just that much taller. The 2:1 is actually best seen on the slab phones. That extra wide aspect ratio kind of reduces the gap that you would normally experience with a large folding phone. But overall, the best experience for media and immersion is going to be the large folding form factor. With the advancements in the screen creases, it completely removes that crease when you're looking at it straight on, just completely gone, and even extended to a pretty good amount of angles. And on anything that's an older show or something that was shot on 4:3, the large folding form factor is going to be the best in experience. The next category is going to be the cameras, and the best experience might actually depend on what you do with the cameras. So the way I've kind of laid it out is, if you're going to be shooting video for content like maybe TikTok or YouTube Shorts, where the video content is going to be vertical, the flip style is going to provide the better experience, because it's going to give you basically that built-in tripod, and it's going to record vertically natively, so you're going to get the best resolution. But you also get pretty much a preview window of what you're recording, so you're not just guessing on what's on the screen. If you use your phone for vlogging and you want to record yourself, but you use the long video format, which tends to be in landscape orientation, the folding phone might actually be the better option. Because when you use a large folding phone as its own tripod, it's going to, by default, leave your cameras on the landscape orientation, and you're going to be able to record yourself. It's just going to require you to line things up before you start recording, because you're not going to have that live preview unless you put it on a stand. Also, if you do the editing on the phone itself, the large form factor is obviously going to give you the best experience with the most amount of screen real estate while you're working on the video. Now, that doesn't leave the slab phone as the odd man out. The slab phone has great benefits on its own, just because of the extra space that it has internally because of the design. the Slab phones have the best camera sensors that you can get on the phones. Neither the large form factor nor the flip style really come close to competing with the standard Slab phones, except for maybe the OnePlus, where they really do have pretty much the same sensors. With pretty much every other brand, the standard Slab phones are going to have the best camera. So if you're going to go out and shoot nature or other people where you get to see the main screen or use the main screen as your viewfinder, it's going to be best to get a regular Slab phone because that's going to provide the best results. The next category is just novelty of the phone. So because the folding phones, either style, is pretty much rare to see in public, it does provide some sort of novelty when someone sees it. It can even be a conversation starter if someone starts asking about it, which I've actually had that experience myself a couple of times. On the opposite end of this, the Slab phones are pretty much the same. They haven't changed much and they don't change much anymore, especially with iPhone and Samsung, where they have had the same style for a while and everyone just recognizes them already since they're pretty much the most common phones you see. Where maybe some situations like the OnePlus or Pixel lineup might catch some attention because they do look different than the standard, iPhone and Samsung. But overall, the flip and folding style phones are the ones that really do catch some of the attention. Next category is probably one of the more important ones because, phones aren't cheap nowadays, and that's going to be durability. So with the folding phones, you do have that folding, bending inner screen, which is a problem in itself. And then you also have the hinge, which is another moving part, and moving parts are always going to be less reliable than having a fixed system. I will say that I haven't had any issues, thankfully, with the screen or the hinge on any of my phones, but I have seen where, screens do go bad, and that can be problematic, especially if you don't have a backup phone. Unfortunately, we don't have the exact number, so it's kind of hard to tell how much more of an issue it is with the folding phones. But just by common sense, having those two extra moving parts is going to make it less reliable. Now, if you go to the Slab phones, they are, the most reliable ones. They do still have their issues with screens, but that's just manufacturer defects. At that point, it's not going to be from just using it. It's just not going to wear out like that. But besides these manufacturer defects, the Slab phones are the most reliable ones. They have the best water and dust resistance, and they don't have any moving parts, so you don't have to worry about one of those going out. I guess the safer of the two folding phones is probably going to be the large folding form factor because it has a fully functional outside screen. You basically have the regular Slab phone in the front, and it opens up into a tablet. Whereas with the flip style, even with the new larger screens, it's still not 100% replacing the main screen. So you do have a little bit less redundancy on the flip style phones. The next category is the price tag. So in terms of price, the flip style and Slab phones are within similar ranges. And then you have the large folding form factors at extreme prices at $1,500, basically the lowest I've seen, all the way to slightly above $2,000. So it's pretty pricey. I kind of want to do like a price to value concept. And when it comes to that, the Slab phone is by far the best one when it comes to price to value. Just because you're getting pretty much the best screens, you're not compromising out on the screens, you're getting the best cameras, and you're getting the best durability for pretty much the cheapest price when you think about it. The second one I will say is the flip style, because you do get a second screen, which adds to the value. You do get some of the pocketability that you will get on a smaller phone, and the price tag is, close to being affordable for most people. Whereas the large folding phone, even though it is the coolest one and probably provides the most versatility, it is the most expensive one by a lot. And I don't see it being twice as good basically as a flagship phone. Especially since for the most part, you're giving up on camera sensors and reliability. I guess the closest one is going to be the OnePlus Open that has pretty much flagship level camera hardware, even though the software could leave something to be desired. But even then, when you compare it to their flagship, it's still double the price. So you're still doubling up on it, and you get two of the flagship for the price of the large folding form factor. Another category, and this one might be one of the least important, is going to be the app optimization. So with the large folding form factor, when using a single app on the main large screen, the app might not be optimized. So are you getting the stretched out app? So that could be bad for some apps where it doesn't fit right. Some apps work perfectly fine even when stretched out, and others have been optimized for the large screen. So it really depends on which apps you're using. But the thing is, with the large folding form factor, if the app just doesn't look right, you can adjust the size of it to keep the same aspect ratio as the default, phones. Or you can just close the screen and use the front one if the app is really that bad and unusable on the main screen. Obviously, that's not ideal, but you have options there. With the flip style, you're not really going to have too many issues because it's not too far off. It's just taller than the standard Slab phones. So you're not going to have too many issues with app optimization. There could be some alignment differences, but I haven't really come across anything that makes it unusable. It tends to work just fine, just might be some misalignments as well on the flip style versus Slab style. And then obviously everything is designed for the Slab style phones and they all have basically the same aspect ratio. So all the apps are going to be optimized for that one. So that's going to be the best one for app optimization. So my next category is going to be the battery life. And this one, the clear loser here is probably going to be the flip style because it's just not going to be able to handle the same screen on time if that's a big deal for you. The battery sizes are quite a bit smaller on the flip style phones. It's going to lead to less screen on time. However, I think part of the benefit of the flip style phones is that's going to kind of lead you to use the phone less. So overall, the battery should last you all day without any issues since you theoretically would be using the phone a little bit less. Also, if you do a lot of the tasks on the cover screen, it being smaller with less pixels, it will do better on battery overall. And also it'll keep you from getting too sucked into your phone and kind of help you reduce the screen on time as it is. When it comes to the large folding form factors, things are completely different where the large folding phones kind of suck you in more than the other phones. So it's kind of going to lead to more screen on time. That together with battery sizes that are a little bit smaller than the Slab phones, is going to lead to worse screen on time. And also take into consideration the larger screen with more pixels and more light. So the battery is not going to be as good on the large folding form factor if you use the inner screen. If you're mainly using the outer screen, like you might be doing more with the Pixel 1 Plus folding phones, the battery life might actually be on par with the standard Slab phones. So basically the best scenarios to use a flip phone is going to be if you're trying to be more minimalist or reduce the amount of time you spend on a phone. And if you enjoy the small form factor of flip phones. Those that might enjoy the large folding form factors more are those that do a lot of multitasking, maybe business professionals or anyone that just likes to do a lot of split screen apps. That's going to be where the large folding form factor really shines. It is also really good for watching videos and can be good for some games, but not all games. And then obviously the Slab phones is going to be the toughest one and it's going to be the best optimized one. I think for most people, the Slab phone might be the best option, at least at this point in time. And if you're not sure if you're set on getting a folding phone, but you want to try it out, I would advise to get it used, try it out. I will say that I did follow my own advice when I tried the large folding form factor because I just wasn't sure. I didn't see the benefit until I tried it and then I really loved it. So I bought a used Z Fold 3 and at this point the Z Fold 4 was already out. The phone worked so well that I just didn't even sell it again until I traded it in for the Z Fold 5. Definitely look into that if you're interested in trying it and you don't have to jump in with both feet and then, then regret it later on. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you enjoyed it, leave a like and also remember to subscribe for future videos. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.